So when you get off the phone with one of our guys, not only do you know you're going on a cool fishing adventure, but you're going on one that nobody could have put together for you.
You drive 2 hours down a gravel road to get to the trailhead, get on these horses for an hour and a half to get around this canyon, then get on a jet boat up the river an hour to the base camp. And that, literally no one, I guarantee you, I caught fish that had never seen flies.
There's a fishing trip, and then there's a fishing adventure.
I mean, horses to me say you're going remote, you're going rugged, it's going to be a beautiful place, and the fishing should be epic.
Correct. I personally think that you're foolish not to call us if you are going on a fishing adventure, whether we carry it or not.
All right, guys, welcome to the Gritty Angler Podcast. I'm here with my guest, Brian Oakland, Got Fishing, and I want to say Phil Kessel. I keep wanting to call him Phil Kessel, like the hockey player, but it's Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah.
He's as tough. He's as tough as Phil.
Well, he is. Patrick's a wrestler.
Yep.
So don't mess with him.
No, you don't.
Wrestled at Wisconsin?
No, Purdue.
Or Purdue, sorry. You're from Wisconsin.
From Wisconsin, yeah. But those days are behind me, so. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
There you go. These guys, what time did you get up this morning? You drove down from Boise.
Yeah, rise and shine at 3:30, and I was in the car at 4, and we were probably on the highway at about 4:30.
Well, I appreciate you guys driving down.
Heck yeah.
Come meet with me.
We appreciate being here.
So give us a brief introduction of what Got Fishing is.
So Got Fishing is it's an online booking agency for fishing adventures. You know, we're one of the largest, what we call online booking agency. Most of these guys, you'll see trade shows. You know, there's guys booking trips, typically one or two, where we have a portfolio full of trips, whether it's Mexico, Belize, Kamchatka, Russia, Jurassic, Montana, Idaho. We've got a variety of different trips. So what we do for the sportsmen, particularly the fishermen, is we're really their insurance policy to make sure that they're going on the best trip possible for them. You know, that's going to meet their needs. Whether they're a proficient fly fisherman and they're looking for true blue ribbon streams and want to make sure that they're going with the right outfitter, we make sure that that's going to happen. Or maybe it's a beginner fly fisherman that's looking for the full experience and an outfitter that's going to work with them on their casting and their presentations and things like that. We've got trips for that. So what we really do is a good job of listening to our clients. You know, they call in looking for a particular adventure. We do a good job of listening, trying to understand what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they're trying to accomplish, and then we put 2 or 3 trips in front of them for them to pick from. And really the beauty of what we do, and I think that this is the one thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that everything that Patrick and I and the rest of the consultants do is 100% free. That's what's so nice for the sportsman is you don't pay a dime for our services. And then at the end of the day, when you pick your trip, you don't pay a dime extra for that trip. So I always say, of course you would never do this, but in the event that you were working with Patrick and he was telling you that this adventure was X, and if you were to go around him and call the outfitter, you would find that that price that you were quoted is the exact same price of the outfitter. The reason that you work through us is, again, we cross the T's, we dot the I's, and we make sure that, you know, the trip goes exactly as you're expecting. And that's the key to all fishing trips, is expectations and having those expectations met.
Oh,
That's
for
what we
sure.
do.
So what you're saying is you're not like a used car salesman that is trying to sell a 70-year-old grandma pickup truck.
We have no vested interest in what
Yeah.
trip they pick. We just want it to be the best one for them.
Yeah.
Right. And they're trips that we want to go on, so exactly not selling something you don't want. They're cool adventures that people are interested in.
Well, and a lot of them are trips you guys have been on. You've
Exactly.
been to those countries, you've been to those rivers, and so you're not sending somebody to some place that you really don't know anything about.
Exactly.
That's correct. That's a great point. The occasional trip, we're working on a peacock bass fishing trip right now at a Guyana. No one on my team has been there. Someone is going. But the majority of the trips, I mean like 99.9% of all the trips, someone on our team has been there, fished the waters, slept in the bed, or slept in the dirt, depending on the adventure. And so can speak firsthand as to what kind of adventure that's going to be, the equipment, the outfitter, so on and so forth.
I was on your website this morning and just checking out all the places that you offer trips to, and it's, what is it, like 10 or 12 different countries right now?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm losing track of them, but yeah, we've got Russia, Alaska, Mexico, Belize, Chile, Bolivia,
Canada, New Zealand, and Christmas Island. Yeah, you got some really cool places.
Yeah, we do.
And I already told you I'm willing to go check out some of these for you.
I think we might be able to make something like that happen for you. Yeah.
Well, it is really cool places that you guys offer trips to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're hopefully providing those bucket list trips, but also, we have a pile of trips that, because sometimes bucket list has a tendency to maybe cost a little. My bucket list is to go to Chile, or my bucket list is to go to Jurassic Lake, and those aren't free. So we also have a pile of trips that are, affordable for anybody who's looking for a multi-day adventure. We've got some really cool stuff just in Idaho for steelhead fishing, second deepest canyon in North America, in the largest wilderness on the lower 48, and you're catching sea-run steelhead. It's pretty incredible.
Well, and you bring up a good point. That's one thing I really like about what you guys do, because not everybody can afford $6,000 to $10,000 for one of these epic so-called bucket list trips,
Absolutely.
right? And I'd say 80% of trips that people take might be within the lower 48 or up to Canada, Alaska, but primarily North America.
100%.
And you guys can help them put together a trip like that for $2,000 to $4,000.
Absolutely. Yeah, all day long.
And I think most guys, that fits their budget.
It does. And we even get the occasional phone call, and we don't mind them, where maybe we're not necessarily, maybe even a $2,000 or $3,000 fishing trip for steelhead is just out of reach. It's a guy and a couple buddies, or it's a guy and his son, and that $4,000 or $5,000 is just a little too much. By the time you're done talking with Patrick, he's lined you out on how to get to Riggins and who you might want to call, and you're not going to leave the phone uneducated and without a plan. When you get done with us, we are going to send you in a direction, and it won't be a bad one.
All right, Patrick. So he's been talking you up a little bit, and off camera too. So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Well, I'm from Wisconsin. Wrestled at Purdue. During that time in the summers, I would guide in Colorado. Guided there about 3-4 years, and then got a gig in Alaska and started guiding on the Kenai. Guided there a couple of years, and now I started working as a fishing consultant, and it's a great job. There's similarities in both. I like to, when I was out on the river teaching people, showing them what I do, my office really is a big thing for me. Is kind of where the reward is, and similar to this job is, I don't like to say I'm selling these trips, but I'm getting people out on these adventures and things that they've thought about for years or want to do. So that's kind of where the reward lies.
How long were you in Alaska?
2 years.
2 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big into hunting and fishing. Got a couple brothers and a sister, and one brother in particular. We do a lot of big hunts together and fishing trips, and so.
Some of your hunting stories are awesome, and we could do a whole nother podcast on that. Maybe we will sometime, but you've been to some epic places on some epic hunts.
Right.
In fact, your last trip, you shot 7 animals and had to pack all 7 out within a couple days of each other.
Yeah, we shot. I try and stay humble, but we had an epic trip. We got a window of weather in Kodiak.
Spit it out.
Yeah.
This is good. People want to hear this.
Had some rough days. We sat in a tent for 2 days before we even hunted. Got up to spike camp, and we ended up shooting 4 goats with our bow, and then I added 3 Sitka blacktail with the rifle, and that was in 5 days. So 7 animals in 5 days. And
that happens for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And a couple weeks before that, my brother drew a Chugach tag, late season sheep tag. It was an any ram tag, but he ended up killing a full curl anyways. And that's a unit that usually one person out of I think they get 60 some tags. Usually one person kills any ram.
Yeah.
So that was
And he killed it on his first stalk.
first morning of the
That's
the
crazy.
season.
Yeah.
And 4 goats with a bow. I mean,
Yeah, we were running.
that is crazy.
Yeah, we had the one our last 2 goats. We kind of were stalking. There's a big bowl. There's goats in, and I ended up getting mine. Skinned it out, quartered it, did everything, and went over the next ridge. And there's another big billy bedded over there. We go and stalk that and shoot that one. So that was our, 2 goats in 4 hours.
So guys, if you've ever wanted to hunt mountain goat, just go to Kodiak. It's really easy. You can shoot 4 goats, no problem.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
In a couple of days.
Yeah. So in regards to fishing up there, where you were in Alaska, tell us some of your favorite places to fish and places that guys could book trips to up there.
Right. So I guided on the Kenai. It's world famous. I mean, it's a great river. Beautiful. The peninsula is awesome. It gets busy though because it is on the road system. So really that's kind of where my focus was. I did a little more fishing up north of Anchorage and some creeks for grayling and kings and stuff. But really I was kind of just stuck on the road system just with guiding. That's all I had time for. That being said, it was awesome. But when you think of, and I'm not talking bad about the Kenai because it's an incredible fishery, and
Great starter fishery for Alaska.
Can't wait to go back and do it. Definitely miss it. But when people think of Alaska, they think of floating down a river, or even jet boating up and down a river and not seeing anyone, or seeing very few people. Being immersed in that wildlife and that adventure, where the Kenai lacked that because they had cruise ships come in, from Seward and Homer, and so it was a lot of busyness there. That being said, it was awesome, but where our trips are the Bristol Bay, Iliamna, that region where there's much less people, still incredible fishing. But what you would think about when you see pictures of Alaska and think about wanting to go, those are the kind of trips.
Brian, right now you guys got 4 or 5 trips guys can book with you in Alaska?
Just that we have on our website. We probably have another 4 or 5 in our back pocket that we haven't got loaded yet. We have a couple that we haven't actually been to. We have high confidence. We're bringing on one right now. We could probably start mentioning it is rated the number 1 lodge in all of Alaska, and it's rated the number 4 lodge in the world.
Wow.
Forbes, man, it's incredible, and it's not hoity-toity. It's one of those places that we would love to go hang out in. It's just really done at an exceptional level. So we have confidence in sending our clients there with that kind of ranking, but at the same time, we haven't gone and experienced it yet, so we need to do that. And we have a few others that we still need to get somebody up to, but so I would say that right now we probably have at least 8 to 10 solid Alaska adventures, depending on what you're looking for.
So you've got both. You got lodges where guys they don't want to do the backcountry adventure, sleep in a tent, mingle with grizzly bears.
Right.
They can stay in the lodge, probably fish for salmon and trout.
Totally, yeah.
Any deep sea stuff as well?
We do. We've got some stuff for halibut and for some kings. We've ran a trip out of Homer, and then we've got a really great one out of BC that a lot of people have been jumping on. It's a quick, easy trip. It's a 4-night, 3-day. The price point is extremely affordable. They pick you up at the airport. You need absolutely nothing except a few clothes for layering. You don't need a rod. You don't need a license, nothing. They pick you up at the airport. They run you over to what I would call a 4.5-star lodge that overlooks the bay. It's absolutely gorgeous. You wake up in the morning. A typical day is you wake up, have a nice chef cook breakfast. You head down to these really nice boats. It's 2 to 3 to a boat, and you're fishing for kings. But the deal is that you're actually using a fly rod. They use divers to get them down there, but when you hook up, you're fighting this on a fly rod. So that whole experience is incredible. Then they throw a couple crab pots over as you head out to the halibut grounds. Fish for halibut, fish for kings on the way back with a fly rod, pick up the crab pots, head back to the lodge, cold cocktail on the deck. It's excellent. And everybody comes home with somewhere between 60 and 70 pounds of fresh halibut and salmon when they're done. So trips like that. Yeah.
You know, I was telling you guys before we started recording, I was in Alaska last spring on a bear hunt. And we stayed in a little cabin right down on the water. And every day we threw crab pots out. And then we'd go hunt. We'd come back, pull them up at night. And almost every night without fail, we'd catch our limit. And that's almost primarily what we lived on for the whole week.
Why not?
Was crab, fish that we caught. Fresh mussels, which were amazing.
Right.
But the Dungeness crab up there, man, if you got an opportunity to do that,
it's pretty incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah. And those are those little nuances, that, Patrick and the rest of the consultants are so good at is there's a fishing trip and then there's a fishing adventure. And a fishing adventure includes all of those little things. Did you know while you're there you could go do this? Or while you're there, make sure you experience that. Things that, people wouldn't normally know about, even if you're reading your standard write-up on the website from the outfitter. It's kind of our job to make sure that we know all the ins and outs. And again, that's why we go and experience these adventures. It's not just specifically getting to that camp, but it's the whole trail there and the different things that you can kind of spur off and go explore since you're in that area. And I think that that's also one of the things that makes us different is kind of all having that essence. And again, all of it's free. So when you get off the phone with one of our guys, not only do you know you're going on a cool fishing adventure, but you're going on one that nobody could have put together for you.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the kind that appeals to me more, and we were talking about this, is more the backcountry remote. You fly back by float plane, and you're probably fishing waters where those fish have never seen an artificial lure before.
Correct.
You guys offer that?
We do. Of course, that's our wheelhouse trip. We look for those all the time.
Kind of stuff we like too.
Yeah. Yeah, you tell them about the Renfro trip.
Yeah, so we got a trip out of Bethel, Alaska, and there's 2 rivers we can float. You're remote out there living with the bears and the wildlife. Floating a river, one is about a 100-mile float, and the other one's about 60 miles. So depending on the season, you'll have kings coming in, sockeye, chum, and then silvers at the end, and all in between. The trout fishing's good, the dolly fishing's good. But that's one where you're floating down, camp on a sandbar, get up, do it again, fish as much as you want. You can set your tent, set your camp, and keep fishing because it's light till 11, 12 o'clock in the summer. But yeah, that one doesn't lack adventure, and that's one that we can do on a guided trip, or you can do partly guided, or you can do it completely on your own.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how to row a river, there's not any rapids or anything crazy in it. So that's one that, if me and Brian were going to go to Alaska and do a trip, we'd probably do it on our own.
Yeah, self-guided, but you'll help guys. You'll give them all the information, tell them where to go.
Gear and everything.
100%.
Schedule the float plane and pick up. And
They're off with sat phones, all the food and gear that they're going to need. I mean, again, even if you do a self-guided trip, everything's provided. Top of the line rafts and frames and tents and cots and bug tents for dinner time and a full kitchen and the whole 9 yards. So
that's really cool. So you can do self-guided.
Yep.
But say a guy doesn't have all the gear to do it.
That's 100%.
You provide it.
Included.
Correct.
Yeah. And you get to the hangar and basically their new NRS rafts, they'll pump it up for you, show you how the oar locks, show you how all the gear works. So you're going in there with the knowledge, not where you get dropped off, kicked out by the plane, and you're trying to pump your raft.
Good luck. We can arrange that too, though.
Hope you guys are here in a week when I come back.
Right. And not right here when I drop you off.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. All that gear and stuff is either included or like the sat phone's rentable. You can rent a shotgun if you're worried about bears. Bear spray's there because you can't fly with that.
GPS.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So exactly, self-guided, but you don't need to fly your own raft up there. Just use the one up there because it's as good or better than yours. So.
And anyone who we've had suggests that I have my own gear. we suggest they think through bringing all of that gear up to Bethel, Alaska, and they quickly change their tune. When they find out too that the gear that we have, like he's saying, it's NRS, it's Avon, it's really good quality gear, and people would rather fly in. As you're landing, you look out, and there's 3 or 4 rafts that are all blown up and framed up and ready to go for you when you touch down. That's pretty appealing.
And so a trip like that, you're typically covering, 60 to 90 miles of river, roughly?
Yep.
So you're getting flowing in almost 100 miles into the middle of nowhere. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you really are in the middle of nowhere on this particular trip. And we have a few of them like that. But like we were talking before we started doing this podcast about, it's so hard to get remote today, especially in the lower 48.
Yeah.
This is one of those places where you are almost as remote as it gets. You're not going to see anybody else. And the only thing that you're going to see walking around are truly going to be bears and other wildlife, which, again, just makes this experience so cool.
Well, yeah, imagine fishing and you see a caribou run by. I mean, that tells you you're somewhere remote and rugged, right?
And special.
Yeah.
Fox, moose. Yep.
I've been to Alaska twice, and both times was bear hunting. This last time, though, I spent a good amount of time doing some fishing as well, kind of a cast and blast adventure, if you will. But, you brought this up, is the sun stays up till 11 o'clock at night, and I wasn't prepared for that. And so we would hunt until it was dark.
Right.
And then we'd get up at the crack of dawn again and start hunting again, and we're putting in 14-hour days, and over the course of a week, that can wear you down.
Totally.
But at the same time, that's really cool that you will have 14 to 16 hours a day to fish if you want to.
Yeah, and that because of that, a lot of guys get out on the river and they truly start relaxing and enjoying themselves. And it's okay to take a nap in the afternoon and go lay on your cot and chill out, because after dinner you can go fish for another 2 or 3 hours. So
you take an hour nap, guess what, guys? You still have 15 hours. to
fish. You're gonna be all right. Yeah, for sure.
Right, and it really appeals to the hardcore guys who they're doing this trip and they want to milk out everything out of it and fish those 16-hour days. So like I said, you can float your 10 miles, set up camp, and it's still 6-7 o'clock at night, and you still got 3 hours. You could have your dinner, take a nap, wake up and fish a couple hours, have a fire, and then sleep for a couple and do it all over again. So.
And these remote trips too, I like it that you can, it's not really structured. You've got the whole week and you get dropped off here, and by the end of the week, you got to be 90 miles downstream.
Right.
But if you find a killer spot where you set up camp and you want to stay there for 2 days and fish that area for 2 days, explore it, it's whatever you want to make of it.
100%. Exactly. Yeah, that's what makes it so unique. And we get a lot of clients that say, because this trip does have a ton of value. I know we're focusing on this one, but it's a good one. This one is 6 to 10 days. And every time we've come to the outfitter saying, we've got some clients that want to come up for 5 or 6, he's like, because it's really one of those trips that when you get out there, it's a 6 or 7 day trip. Day 2, you start forgetting what time it is and what day it is, and you start kind of getting into the groove. And by day 3 or 4, you're fully immersed. And the last thing you want to do is get off the river the next day. Have another 2 or 3 days where you're just intoxicated with the backcountry, the adventure, the everything that you're experiencing. It makes it one of those trips where, and I think the other thing is, like we were saying, expectations. It's no matter what you think this trip's going to be, it's going to be that much better.
Oh, 100%. And, when I did this trip last year, this bear hunt in Alaska, and I'm hunting and fishing in an area where there's no cell phone reception.
Yeah.
Initially going out, that kind of stressed me out a little, just thinking, well, I can't contact my family, or they can't contact me if they wanted to. But what I found out was it was so nice to get up there for a week and unplug, not worry about emails, phone calls, voicemails, checking social media, reading the news, which is mostly depressing anyways.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's really nice to get up there and unplug, but you guys will provide a sat phone in the case of an emergency.
100%.
Or you can rent a spot too. So, you can text your wife or your brother or whoever you need to contact just to let them know you're good. But yeah, I'll say, that first day of the 6-day float, you're going to be kind of fidgety, like, or you brought your phone to take pictures and you're going to look at it every once in a while, and then you're going to realize by day 2 that it doesn't matter. And really, like Brian said, make it a 6 to 10-day trip, or you're kind of cheating yourself if you got to get off the river in 4 or 5 days. It's not.
No, I agree. 6, 7. And, those spots are pretty affordable these days anyways. $150 now you can get a spot.
Totally.
And just send a message each night to your wife saying, I'm okay.
Yep.
Good night. Love you.
Yeah. We've definitely all gotten programmed where we're addicted to those things. So, even the people out there who want to get away from it, there's that little detachment for 24 hours, but boy, how quickly you're glad that you've set it aside, and how quickly you realize how much I don't need that thing.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just throw out this little teaser. We were talking off camera before we started recording, but for anybody listening to this podcast, Gritty Angler followers, I'm working out a deal with Got Fishing right now for a cool trip, sort of like we've been discussing here the last 20 minutes. So stay tuned on social media, and there'll be details to come. But you guys are offering a really cool deal if you want to get up to Alaska and do a trip like this.
Yeah. I don't want to give too much of it away, but if you've been listening to this, you can kind of smell what we're cooking, and could be being cooked up for you.
That's right. So another one we've been talking about doing is saltwater. Tell me 2 or 3 of the cool places that you guys offer. Well, let's just say maybe Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
That could include Chile or New Zealand or whatever.
I'll start with Chile.
Yep.
Just because I just came back from a hosted trip down there in December, which was their spring, and it was incredible.
Chile? Yeah, it sounds kind of boring for fishing.
Yeah, exactly. Who wants to do that?
Yeah. So Patagonia, a lot of people think Argentina, but Patagonia is a region within that lies in both. So, but anyways, that was an incredible trip. I'm doing another hosted one in 2019 in March, but tons of water down there to fish. When I was flying in on the plane, I'm just looking down, just drooling like there's another river, there's a lake, there's another river, and get to the lodge, and you're driving out every day to fish a spring creek or float a river or a lake. And the one thing I'll say about lake fishing, and I get this feedback from a lot of clients, is like, I don't want to do that. I don't like fishing a bobber with chironomids, and don't bring your chironomids. You're fishing a big ass streamer or dragonflies, or they get a big beetle down there. One of the most epic days was fishing the reeds with dragonflies. Super windy day, but you'd see these fish. My guide's kind of oaring us along these reeds, and you'd see 100 yards up a big fish jump, and another one. And you're like, it's gonna happen up here. As soon as you get up there, you flip that dragonfly down, give it a couple twitches, and sometimes they gulp it, other times they come 2-3 feet out of the water, and I'm talking like 2 to 4 pound fish.
Yeah, some amazing footage.
Yeah, I caught some, that were more of that 5-6 pound, over 2 feet.
Browns and rainbows or what?
Mostly browns.
Yeah.
We did hit some rainbows, but incredible scenery down there. Very, very limited fishing pressure. The whole 12, 13 days I fished down there, I didn't see another person fishing anywhere. So,
so that's something I've been wondering is, like, the locals down there in Chile, is fly fishing as popular there as it is here in the U.S.?
So it's gaining some popularity, but going back to how the region I was in, where Patagonia lies, for one, it's hard to get to.
Yeah.
So for residents, it'd be like for us to fly, a couple hours across the country to go fish, we're sitting in Utah, but let's say we're going to go fish Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pain to get there, right?
Yeah.
And then once you get to Pennsylvania, you got to rent a car, a 4-wheel drive truck to drive these gravel roads. So the localized fishing pressure is minimal in the region where I was exactly. It's much less popular. The guides and stuff that guided us were minimum had about 10 years, and some had been there 25 years though. So, they're super experienced people that have been into it for a long time. It just, oddly enough, hasn't taken off like it has here with the locals.
Mostly local guides or some Americans that have moved down there?
Mostly local, bilingual. A couple guys guided in Alaska, in the summer and then go down there.
Yeah.
So they go back and forth, but most of them grew up there, or one guy guided in Alaska for a while. He guided the Grand Canyon for a while, and he's been in Chile for, I think he got down there in 1985 or something. There wasn't even vehicles hardly or roads in that region. So the one other thing I'll say about the Chile trip is so there's a lodge portion, and then there's the backcountry trip where you're staying in a luxury tent camp, so wall tents on platforms with a door. But basically, you drive 2 hours down a gravel road to get to the trailhead, get on these horses for an hour and a half to get around this canyon, then get on a jet boat up the river an hour to the base camp. And that, literally no one, I guarantee you I caught fish that had never seen flies.
4-wheel drive to horses to boat, helicopter in there too?
Yeah, I mean,
well, a lot of the stuff they got helicopter, but the reason it's so hard is
that
because
sounds epic.
It is unbelievable.
There's about 40 miles of river there, but on the bottom of it there's a gnarly rapids, and on the top, so you literally can't get in it. So that's how we go that way, and we're the only concession that works out of there. So
it's an adventure trip for sure. The pictures are unbelievable. I obviously can't go on all of these trips, but that's one based on the pictures and the stories, and you go on the first part of the trip for someone like me so that you can go on the second part of the trip.
Yeah,
the lodge part would be great, and there's epic fishing there. What I like about it is, you hear these stories of guys coming back from Chile and they're only fishing a lake. Or they're only fishing a river where this lodge, wherever they're at, is located. Where here, they're fishing lakes, streams. There was a real diversity of fishing that was right out of the main lodge. And because he was there in spring, there was even some issues with high water and some rain that had come in. And had they been stuck on one body of water, it really could have been problematic. But they were able to jump over onto another body of water and slam them. Then they went into this epic adventure part of it, and again, we joke around that the shuttle there is, we should be charging you for it.
Any trip that involves getting in on horses has my vote.
It was awesome.
I did a lot of riding as a kid in Canada. In fact, my most memorable fishing trip involved 10 miles into the backcountry of nowhere in Canada to this high mountain lake. And actually, I was on a mule. It was that rugged. And those fish had never, ever seen an artificial fly or lure before.
Yeah.
And we didn't even take fishing gear with us. It just so happened I found a 10-piece piece of fly line. I tied it to a stick, and there was a little J hook on it. And then I was catching grasshoppers and flies, and I could only toss that out about 8 feet into this lake. It was like piranhas were hitting this thing, right? But just to be able to get in, I mean, horses to me say, you're going remote, you're going rugged, it's going to be a beautiful place, and the fishing should be epic.
Correct. Yeah.
It was like the guide Andy said as we were driving in. He's like, it looks like Jurassic Park because there's these. It's a temperate rainforest, so there's the mountains and all the clouds were hanging down low, and it just was like vast nothing that we were going back into. So, and that being said, we were still we brought a cook up with us and luxury tent camp. I mean, we were eating 5-course meals. They had wine for dinner, in a glass, and beer and cocktails, and made fresh biscuits every morning for breakfast. I mean, so it was backcountry, but it was luxury living for what I'm used to,
Yeah.
I'd have been fine in a fly tent, but yeah, it's nice back there. So
that sounds cool. Awesome. And then Brian, what about, say somebody wants the beach, palm trees, sun and surf? You're going to
La
Pescadora.
Yeah, next week, as a matter of fact.
That sounds epic, and tell us why.
Well, I'm going down there because it's going to be epic. And, I do like to go visit these different places. I can't just always be sending the consultants. Sometimes I got to go visit it myself. This particular one, there's a few reasons why I'm going. One, we have a hosted trip down there. And so we have about, I think there's going to be 8 or 9 of us going down. So we've got a bunch of clients that are going to be joining us. Kent, who is another one of our top dogs over at Got Fishing, he put that hosted trip together. It's an 8-day trip. I'm going to fly down for about 5 of it just to go and hang out and do some fishing. What's unique about this particular spot is that, you can go to a lot of these places and you can target bonefish, or you can target tarpon, or you can target permit. This is one of those areas where you can actually go catch a grand slam in one day.
Yeah.
So you can go catch a snook, a permit, a tarpon, and a bone.
Sounds boring.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go find out. I might fly home early. We'll see. But that's again what makes that trip unique. And the outfitter also makes it unique. It's a family-owned and ran deal, so there's just a high level of that genuine customer service. There's service out there, how you doing, what can I get you, but then there's just that different level that you really feel, and by the end of the trip, you feel like you're a part of the family. And as a matter of fact, Kent, one of the reasons that we go down there and how we came to carry this trip is Kent's been down there 14 years in a row.
Wow.
Should tell you something.
That should tell you something. Yeah.
Well, and what I like about this too, now it's in a great part of Mexico. You fly into Cancun.
Yep.
So you're on the Caribbean side.
Correct.
The most beautiful water anywhere in the world, at least in my opinion. And it's safe.
It is safe. I'm glad that you brought that up. We do occasionally get some feedback from clients calling in saying, well, isn't Mexico the murder capital of the world? And we say, yeah, but you go into any of our cities here in the United States at the wrong time and you could be in the murder capital of the world. So at this particular, like you were saying, you're flying into Cancun, it's very Americanized. There isn't any danger over there. You take a professional shuttle service down to La Pescadora. There is no danger there, or we wouldn't personally be going or sending anybody. But exceptional trip.
Yeah.
And very affordable.
I've been down there a few times and I've had nothing but a great experience.
Yeah. The people down there are genuine and truly there to make sure you have a great time.
So Grand Slam, the chance of doing that in a single day.
Single day. Now, and that trip is more for your true fishermen. There's not a lot of activities there outside of fishing. There's some snorkeling and stuff. It's nice, but we get asked all the time, and this is a new popular thing. Hats off to the sportsmen for keying in on this. But a lot of guys are bringing their wives now.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to go fishing, they're saying, hey, would you like to come along? This probably wouldn't be that trip. So we've got another one. If you scoot over to Belize, we've got an exceptional trip. It's Orvis endorsed, El Pescador, and there you can do some incredible fishing, but they also have a lot of other activities. As you know, Belize is renowned for its diving and for its snorkeling, and this particular lodge we have has massage therapy spas. It's got a couple swimming pools. Again, not hoity-toity. It's a really cool family-owned and operated lodge again, but they just have some of the extra amenities and activities that if you wanted to bring your wife or kids, everybody's going to have a great time.
No, I agree. I think Belize has like the 3rd largest reef in the world.
Yeah.
Second largest, right off its coast. And I've been there a couple times, but everybody speaks English too.
Totally.
And
English,
it's a great family-friendly place to go, right in Belize City there.
It's clean. They're educated. Super friendly. As a matter of fact, my wife and I got certified down there for diving. And I did my first adventure dive right there off Abergese. So I have fond memories of the place, and great place to go hang out.
Awesome. So Brian, tell guys where they can find you. Got Fishing.
You can check us out at gotfishing.net would be our website. I think that's probably the best way to get a hold of us. And I could kick out the phone number too, 208-991-4868. But Got Fishing is pretty tough to forget. .net, get it, net, fishing. So yeah, that would be the best way. Every one of we have tons of opportunities for you to request information or to get a hold of Patrick or Kent or one of our fishing consultants. And, I think that Patrick nailed it at the very beginning of this when he said, I don't like to say the word selling. And I think that's couldn't have said it better. We don't sell fishing adventures. We hook people up on fishing adventures that they already want to go on. We're just there we're literally your insurance policy. I personally think that you're foolish not to call us if you are going on a fishing adventure, whether we carry it or not. Because we're going to take care of you. We know somebody that's in the industry. But if it is within our portfolio, Alaska as an example, we've got it all covered. I mean, why would you not want to talk to somebody who has no vested interest in sticking you in a particular lodge and trying to make that work for you no matter what it is you're saying or coming, oh yeah, I think that would work. Oh yeah, we could accommodate that. Where when you're working with Patrick, it's 100%. He's going through his portfolio of trips in his head and eliminating the ones that didn't work so he could get down to the 2 or 3 that would perfectly work for your budget, your time, and your experience. And I think that's the beauty of working with Got Fishing.
And then you guys are on Instagram too and Facebook?
We are on Instagram and we are on Facebook. Again, Got Fishing on both of them.
And Patrick, what's your Instagram?
P Kissel 13.
P Kissel
KISSEL.
EL 13.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
so give Got Fishing a follow, give Patrick a follow.
You won't regret it.
You won't regret it. Well, cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
It's been great.
And making the drive down.
We don't like to talk about fishing very much, but a couple days a week we're willing to, and Wednesdays are those days. This is perfect.
I picked the right day.
You did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right on.
Thanks for listening, guys, and stay gritty.
Although our native trout species are resilient fish, they are facing an uphill battle. Historically, there were 28 species of trout that lived in our waters, but 3 of those are extinct. According to Trout Unlimited's research, 13 of the remaining 25 species occupy less than 25% of their historic range. 6 are listed as either threatened or endangered. Renowned conservationist Shane Mahoney recently said, quote, "The natural resources in our country is what makes our country so great. We can have mountains and we can have streams and we can have forests, but if there's nothing living in them, they're meaningless." I agree. Let's not forget that our right to fish depends on habitat. Let's be good stewards of our fisheries and fight to protect and preserve our public lands. Our wildlife habitat depends on it.